Are you tired of always gathering at Behr or Pilgrim's Haven and you want to change the scenery? Did you know there's other places that gives better experience than Behr? Welcome back to the channel all about Lifeskilling. My name is Teddy. Today we're going to go down a more advanced gathering technique, underwater gathering. It's a great way to start power leveling your gathering and get some really valuable materials that can be used for crafting other things that can make a lot of money. If you guys find this helpful, be sure to subscribe, turn on all those notifications, all that good stuff that I'm required to tell you, and let's just jump into it. If you guys have been out here doing your herb gathering, it gets a little boring, you know, always watching the same plants. You got the trees, the forest, everything's always the same, and you tend to go through a lot of your energy out here. But there are better ways to go out and do your gathering, especially if you want to try to power level your gathering. If you have the Artisan Green Thumb minigame, this is the minigame that I was referring to. Alright, so going by that, the higher your mastery, the more materials. The hedgehog will give you more materials for all of your gathering, and the more items that are in your item list, the more experience that you get. If you're familiar with Behr, you know there's a chance that you can get a lot of the seeds and a lot more experience than normal, or you can get your hedgehog to proc and happen to get more of the herbs or whatever. Either way, it gives you more experience. So with all that out of the way, let's get into actual underwater gathering. Like I was telling you guys, in order to get started with your underwater gathering, you're first going to need the gear. The gear that we're going to be focusing on, if you guys have already watched my previous videos on any type of gathering and or you guys already know you're gathering, we're going to be worried about our Manos Gatherer's Clothes. The Tri and the Tet are the best for doing your underwater gathering. Sure, you can use your Pen Logia, but the higher your mastery, the more materials that you can get and the more money that you can make. Same rules apply for your accessories. Best go for your Tet or Pen Logia accessories, or going for your Tet to Pen Manos. I mean, your Tri will work, but like I said, the higher your mastery, the better results that you can get. You will have to have, like I said, your gathering item drop rate artifacts, which will increase the item drop rate and fundamentally more money that you can make with the rare drops that you can get. We're going to be using our Da-Dum diving suit to increase our swim speed and our underwater breathing, which will help out with obviously doing our underwater gathering. Our fairy does have the tingling breath. It's only 2, which will give us plus 10-second underwater breathing, but if you have the higher tier, it will give you more seconds to underwater breathe. Because the whole update came out that gave us our shared family Lifeskilling and our tools, we no longer have to worry about any of our alts with our mastery or their tools. Going into the life tab here, you can see we have all of our tools ready and waiting. We're going to have our Pet to Pen Manos tools to ensure the more mastery and the quickest gathering time. You can use the Stellas, the Demihar, or just a regular magic tool if you guys don't have any of yours. I don't prefer going for the Logia because the Logia is just a waste of your money, and you can just put the money into going for your Manos and tapping it up like that. It's cheaper, it's easier, and you can go ahead and increase the fail stacks while crowning your tools, so it makes it a lot easier to do. For our crystals, we're going to be using our mastery crystal preset so that I can maximize how much rare drops I get. And for this, instead of going with our energy, we are going to replace the energy crystals with our underwater breathing. This way, it'll give us at least 30 seconds on our underwater breathing, which is great. Now we can talk about the buffs. For the buffs, it's going to be pretty easy. So for our buffs, we're going to go with our usual, you know, value pack, Blessing of Kamasov, and the Secret Book of the Old Moon, because we are going to be using the Turning Gates Villa buff to give us more energy back while we're out there underwater gathering. As for our food, I'm gonna pop our Seafood Kron's meal because it gives us back our plus 25 mastery for our gathering, plus 10% life skill experience, and gives us our movement speed plus 2, weight limit plus 100, and our gathering, which we don't have to worry about because we are already maxed out on our gathering. As for the elixirs, I'm going to pull out the Agile Seal Elixir, which will give us plus 15 seconds on our underwater gathering. And I don't think we'll need much of anything else because I am sitting at a high 1945 on our mastery. So to speed up how quickly we can get to each of our areas, the faster your boat is, the quicker and easier you can get. For this, I'm going to be using the cog because I don't want to take the chance on losing my my galleass. Your cog can be either crafted in any ship workshop or can be bought using loyalty in the loyalty shop using 1000 loyalty. Now, I just want to point out, any gear can be used if you prefer to use your silver embroidered, Logia, your blue grade, or even just your pen manos. It doesn't matter. You can go out there and gather with anything. This is just to show you how to get the most back from your underwater gathering, not to show you what you absolutely dreadfully need. These are just suggestions. If you want, you can go out there and gather with no tools, but have fun with it. Try to enjoy it and set yourself a goal on getting better gear or buffs or whatever you need. Now, the area that I personally like to go to is going to be Anaha. Anaha has a very huge area to gather all of your coral, but comes with one huge downside. A lot of players like to go out there and gather for the giant pearl oysters, but for this, the main point of this is to get your minigame procking. The more times your minigame will proc, the higher chances you have of getting your experience. I've been able to go from Master 1 to Master 2 within, probably 3 or 4 mini games to give you an idea of just the magnitude of experience that you can get out here for your underwater gathering. It will change for everyone, because if you have more experience, obviously you can level faster. If you don't, then you won't. If you have more mastery, you'll get more items, but that's beyond the point. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show you just what makes underwater gathering so beneficial for leveling up your gathering. Show you guys real fast. My gathering is at 58.14 Guru 11, and we are heading out over here. This is where we're going to be doing a lot of our underwater gathering, if you guys still need the location. I do have all the links down below on gathering locations, an in-depth gathering gear guide to help you guys get all of the necessary things, and or try to mix and match to see what's more available to you. And I will be showing you guys trying to do your underwater gathering using an alt and or the Corsair if you guys just wanted to use a Corsair in general. All right, you know you got into the right area when it'll change into Arsha. Yep, there you go, Arsha C. That's how you can tell you are in the right area, or if you just jump under the water, you can see there's coral and everything under there as a demonstration. And that's where we're going to be doing all of our underwater gathering. Now, there's a couple things to keep in mind when you are doing your underwater gathering. You cannot pop any of your buffs when you are underwater, even if you have your fairy still active, like doing the active little feeding buff. You can't do any of that until you resurface. So make sure you are not underwater when trying to apply your buffs, or they won't work. The higher your experience, the more back you'll get. Let's check our mastery. And as a reminder, there is no bonus after 2k mastery, so if you have more than that, you're good, you're golden, you don't need to do anything else. And there, with my underwater breathing buffs applied, all of my items and everything, as you can see, my underwater breathing is going down very, very, very slow. All right, so if you guys are wanting to stay out here doing your underwater gathering longer, the Shim Chiang's Miraculous Fish Tank is going to be your saving grace with being able to put all of the fish inside of the fish tank so you can stay out here longer without having them expire. As an example, let's see if I can show you guys up here. Open up your fish tank and throw all of those fish in. This way you don't have to worry about any of the expiration time, and you can reduce all of the inventory slots, allowing you to gather for a lot longer. Now we have 70 out of 192 open, and we can jump right back in. As a reminder, the Shim Chiang's Miraculous Fish Tank can be obtained from doing a 4-part quest over in the Sea Palace in the Land of the Morning Light. This can only be done once per family. So let's get into this and show you guys a reason why I prefer to do my underwater gathering to power level my gathering instead of going out there to Behr. Again, slight warning. People do come out here a lot, so if you're having trouble getting any of the coral to ping, switch out to a different channel and try it again. And before you guys even attempt to go out here and do your underwater gathering, you will get better results if you have your llama pet out. Yeah, our goal with our underwater gathering is to fill up this whole entire window. The more items that we have, the higher experience that we can get, and the quicker that we can go from, say, Guru 11 to Guru 12. And as you can see, that gave me at least 0.19%. But these are the little windows that we are looking for to increase our experience that we're getting. We are now at 61. There. See? And that's what I mean. The more items that you have in your little item, the more experience that you get. We went from 61% to 64.83. And that's why we're mainly coming down here to do our underwater gathering. So if you guys needed a real visual example of why I'm down here, there you go. And the more times you get lucky like that, the quicker you can level up all the way to Guru in no time. Not only are you going for the coral pieces, but the colored coral, the lobster, the pearl oyster meat, and any other rare drops like the fruit of nature, the sharps, black gem fragments, shrimp, any of the other drops. They're going to be great. You can make a lot of money. The colored coral can make millions, and if you process them down more, can make billions if you let it. It's just the experience out here is by far extremely OP for gathering. And that's only if you have your artisan green thumb gathering enabled, which can be enabled over there in the land of the morning light. Now that you guys have an idea of your underwater gathering, let's go ahead and show you guys how to get more back from your underwater gathering. For this, let's switch off to our Corsair. Because of the whole family shared life skilling updates that have been coming out, the shared tools and all of that, it is a lot easier to go jump on an alt and start your underwater gathering. When it comes to underwater gathering, you can do underwater gathering in any other class. The Shai does have a great skill to convert your gathering experience into combat experience. So if you have your Shai tagging another toon, you can go out there and gather your underwater gathering and power level your tagged toon. But the Corsair is going to be the best toon to go out there and do your underwater gathering, hands down. You have your sprint. If you have the dum-da-dum, you can stay out there a lot longer. If you have your bubbly diving, you can stay out there a lot longer than the dum-da-dum. The dum-da-dum with the Corsair will be a lot faster than the bubbly, but the bubbly can match the dum-da-dum with the Corsair. So the Shai, unfortunately, the Shai will have to sit a back seat on underwater gathering if you guys are trying to go for the most materials, the quickest, and not have to worry about, you know, traveling up and down to the surface to breathe again, if you guys are like annoyed with having to do the channel changing. Like I told you guys, it is better to have as much master as you can. If you guys don't have the needed equipment, you won't get the extreme amount of materials like what, you know, if you have your 2K mastery, obviously. But if you guys are tired of how slow you're swimming and want to be a lot quicker, there's two things. If you guys were around for the bubbly diving suit, throwing this gives more bonuses than the dum-da-dum. It comes with less swim speed, but more underwater breathing. But with the Corsair, you can get that underwater swim speed back with the Corsair underwater sprinting, so you can avoid having to get the dum-da-dum, and it's a free item that was given out during an event. So let's go ahead and show you guys what makes the Corsair amazing. Now, the Corsair is going to be extremely OP with your underwater gathering, with just how fast you can get down and right back up to the surface. As you can see, we are already down underwater and we can start our gathering. We don't have to worry about any of the tools because our tools are shared and our mastery is shared too with all of these updates. And unfortunately, no, you cannot get the costume anymore. It was a FOMO event that was ongoing when the Sea Palace first came out. So if you guys did not get lucky enough to snag it when you were, I guess, in during the event last summer, I think it was last summer, unfortunately, you won't be able to get it. Yeah, I think your only other option if you didn't get the bubbly diving suit is going to be your dum-da-dum, which will cost you money. If not, then you can rent the dum-da-dum, I want to say, for loyalty points. It is a nice suit. It keeps you under a lot longer than the dum-da-dum, so if you are not as fully buffed up with your underwater breathing, it helps out with that. And doubled on the Corsair, I mean, look at this. And before we even had time to lose breath, we're right back down. And I can stay under longer just because I have this bubbly diving suit. Okay, so the common like discussion with the artisan green thumb is that you don't make a lot of money. You don't get as much materials as you would if you were doing your normal gathering. I'm not exactly sure if that's really the case or not. I'm solely using the minigame while underwater gathering for the extra experience. You know, the more items that are in the item window, the more experience that you can get. If you're trying to go for money, then probably, yeah, you'll probably want to turn off your artisan green thumb. I'm not exactly sure what the bigger content creators are like saying. I gather with it on all the time for that 6 billion silver one-time gathering attempt, you know, that little jackpot. There's a lot of reason to come out here. It's just always a constant struggle fighting with all of the local players on if they're going to be out there gathering, if you're going into anyone's rotation, anything of the such. But if you can get a good rotation, you can start getting a decent amount of money. It's not going to be anywhere near mob grinding. If you're unlucky, probably be like 125. If you are lucky enough, you can make anywhere from 200 to 6 billion. But the main point of doing your underwater gathering is going to be the experience. The items that we can get are great. They're fine. It's just with how rare they can be, sometimes it's really not worth the time and the effort. Anyway, I think that should be everything on our underwater gathering that I can go ahead and explain to you guys. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, we're only coming under and gathering little things. There's nothing real extreme or important about it. Let me know if you guys found this helpful, if there's anything else that I could add in or anything of the such. I'm all ears. I like teaching you guys like little different ways, and like I said earlier, I know a lot of people like to complain that us veteran players are, I guess, gatekeeping all of this information. So if you guys need any more in-depth guides on underwater gathering, the gear, and or the locations, all the links are down in my YouTube video below. I don't want you guys thinking like I'm hiding this from you all. But let me know if you guys go out there and underwater gather and like what you guys look for when you're underwater gathering.